What is success for every single SEC team? The bottom line that they would have to reach where you enter 2025 feeling good about your team, feeling like they are moving in a direction that gives you hope or maybe even a national championship. So we're going to dive into every single SEC team. If you are new to Rush the Field, though, welcome. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk football with you. It means the world to me. And to be honest, I will only ask you one thing. And that thing is, give me a chance to talk football with you again. Whether that is a like, a comment, a subscribe, anything across the board will mean the most to me. And all I will ever ask you, like I said, is just another opportunity. But we're going to go ahead and dive in. If you want to see the Big Ten, the ACC, I know I most likely will do the Big Ten, and that'll be a long video. We're talking 18 teams. And I still have one more tier list to do, which, by the way, if you have any interest in those, I'm not trying to get you off of this video, but I have those on the page. Let me know. I will do those as well. Just a quick heads up, housekeeping notes. You got one College Football 25 video. I've gotten some support on that. We got an interesting video idea, to say the least, that will be coming out, but I'm not going to stall y'all any longer. I don't like doing super long intros. Let's dive right in. We're going to go alphabetical order real quick. So, like I said, let's just dive in. What does success look like for Alabama in 2024? I'm going to use a one-liner. I'm not going to use a win total because obviously I could say, 12 wins would be success for this program. But I think in all honesty, just keep the Alabama train on its tracks. Feel like it's almost seamless when you go from Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer. Not saying that the expectation for Kalen DeBoer is a national title in year one, but, be in that playoff mix. And I would almost say the expectation is make the playoffs. When you have a top 5 roster like this and you're expecting a lot of development in the quarterback room, and that's part of the success metric. But, and in all honesty, leave 2024 feeling really good, better about the Kalen DeBoer hire, because I feel like they feel great, but I feel like they could just do a little bit higher than that, just solely off of the fact that they will see it in live time, the results of the development of Jalen Milroe, Justice Haynes, and that incredible running back room, and the defense doesn't take a step back. And I think just keep the Alabama pipeline and the tracks on target to what they are looking for as a program, because the standard there is a national title. For Arkansas, it's truly not hiring Bobby Petrino as your head coach. I fully anticipate that they most likely will have a head coaching change by the end of the year. We could talk about Taylon Green. We could talk about how maybe they bounce back. But to be honest, it seems like a program that is more than ready to go into a rebuild. And I almost hesitate to say more than ready, just solely off the fact that they hesitated in firing Sam Pittman. But I don't anticipate, with how loaded their schedule is, how loaded the SEC is, that Sam Pittman ends up being the head coach in 2025. And it feels like, at least from what I've seen with some of the fan bases, that they're anticipating Bobby Petrino to return as the head coach. Don't let that happen. That would be a successful season. You got to take in someone else. You can't just rinse and repeat some old legends, because you're going to end up in a cycle, in a rebuilding that is just not going to work. And I don't think Arkansas is going to want that. I think they honestly should go with someone that's an outside hire that is going to build up this program, because I still see the upside with them. So leaving 2024, don't have Bobby Petrino as your head coach, and have some hope at the head coaching position more than they have right now. For Auburn, I think it's simple. I think it's two specific things. You want to be able to develop the young talent on this team. It has been very clear from Hugh Freeze that he is going to be playing a lot of young players. Cam Coleman, I could go through the list. He has made it very clear true freshmen are going to be playing for this football team. So you're expecting a lot of ups and downs. I don't even think Auburn believes in Peyton Thorne right now. So make sure that you see some development, that these guys are not just really good high school talents, that they actually progress once they get to college. But the second thing, I think almost more importantly for Auburn, is have that, signature win. Not saying it has to be a signature season from Hugh Freeze, but you saw how close they got with, Alabama and Georgia, finish the job and have that signature win that you go into 2025 saying, all right, this is now the time that Auburn becomes that dangerous team and is a threat to the other SEC players. For Florida, I'm not going to put any kind of a win total kind of, stamp of success for them, because it could range from, if they even get 6 wins, I think that's a wild success. So in very simple terms, and I'm one to say that they should keep Billy Napier and believe in the process with DJ Lagway, at least for one more year. And I feel like have some hope and play very competitive in damn near every single game. With a schedule like this for 2024, you're not having any kind of expectations when it comes to the win total, but you could see a team have no life. You could see a team be undisciplined. So throughout 2024, even if there's some moments where they've shown weakness and they just get, rolled over, show fight. Show that this team is actually believing in Billy Napier, because if you don't have that and you're undisciplined once again, you really start to get concerned that, yes, Dan Mullen left this program in shambles, but Billy Napier hasn't put in the pieces outside of acquiring some pretty good talented players. He hasn't taken that next step to really build this into a true program that we know Florida can be. For Georgia, I don't have a lot. It's winning a national title. That is the standard for the Georgia Bulldogs this year. Anything short of that would be not a successful season. And also knowing what the speed limit is. For Kentucky is breaking the mold of what Mark Stoops has kind of had the signature of, that 8-4. He's getting the most out of Kentucky. Are they able to take that next step? They played Georgia really difficult last year. You have Brock Vandergrift. You have weapons on the wide receiver room. You have Deion Walker. Like, they have all this NFL talent. They've had that in the past couple of years. Can they put that onto one cohesive season and be able to take that next step to where people really do feel like they're a threat? I understand they've had those moments. They've been ranked really highly. They feel like this is the year that they turn the corner. Turn it a little bit this year. And I think that would be a successful season, because at some point, Kentucky fans, I know the pride and joy is that basketball school, but I also get the sentiment that they love this football team a ton. And tell me, what do you think success is? Because I doubt it's what y'all have been over the past couple of years, that you want to be able to take that next step, that you feel that, maybe Brock Vandergrift, we don't know what he is as a quarterback. You feel really comfortable moving forward with this team. LSU is fascinating because they will always have the pedigree of a national championship winning team, or that's where they should be. And I don't know if that's where the program is, but to be fair, to give, Brian Kelly credit, the third year for him has always been seen like that, next step. So I think it's comfortably making the playoff, however it may be, whether that is an SEC title opportunity or, they're the third best team in the SEC. Just make the playoff and, probably win a game, I think would be massive. And also, I just want to, sprinkle this, be the frosting on top, is win week 1. Beat up on USC. That's what they should be able to do. I could talk about the, coaching progression on the defensive side of the ball, the continuity in the offense, but all of that would be baked into a playoff appearance, which would be huge for Brian Kelly. For Mississippi State, a team that's been kind of my SEC blind spot. So if you're a Mississippi State fan, please, enlighten me. But I feel my gut feeling after doing some research with this team is, you just feel good about Jeff Lebby, and you're not the bottom of the barrel. You're not the Vanderbilts, the Arkansas of the world, that you feel like this team is actually making some progression, and you feel good about Jeff Lebby. You feel better about the hire. You don't have any expectations in year 1 to, be in that next echelon of a head coach, that you feel like the trajectory of the program is going up instead of, down, but maybe this is the year we bounce back. Maybe you start off on a great foot, and however that may be, how many wins it may be, maybe it's beating Ole Miss at the end of the year. You just need to be able to leave 2024 feeling better about the Jeff Lebby hire than you do right now. For Missouri, I think it's pretty straightforward. Dominate the schedule that you have and be able to be in that 12-team playoff mix comfortably. I think Missouri, there's no excuses for them to not at least feel really good going throughout the schedule. Compared to most SEC schedules, this is probably one of the lighter ones. And I understand you lose Schrader, but this is a team that seems primed to take that next step, whether that's recruiting, NIL. They need the results on the field. Maybe Brady Cook takes the next step. You have Luther Burden. This is definitely a program that is a window program. What I mean by that is mainly you start building up to these opportunities to really strike. And it feels like with a schedule like this, not only would that dominance lead them to potentially not being a window program that continuously brings in talent and develops with Eli Drinkowitz, but this is the great opportunity for them in an SEC that maybe a couple things fall their way. Georgia loses a couple games. Ole Miss doesn't meet expectations. Texas loses a couple games, and they find themselves in Georgia just because they were that opportunistic team this year. Oklahoma's fascinating because of such a prestige with this program, and I feel like their trajectory has been on a great spot, to be honest, with Brent Venables, and they've almost become undervalued. And even I've had Oklahoma fans tell me, stop talking about us because they want to continue to feel undervalued. I do think they have a very difficult schedule. I struggle to see a world where I'd be like, yeah, 12-team playoff. But, maybe they're in that at-large bid picture and they win some of the very distinct, difficult games. Maybe it's beating Texas and knocking them down a peg. Like little things like that. And it's hard to quantify what is the baseline of success. And I think for Oklahoma, the number one thing that they're going to want, especially because I feel in 2025, this is a team that could win a national title. That's how high I feel of this program, is Jackson Arnold is the quarterback, and I think that's a successful season. The wins will come with that, and I think 2025 is their best opportunity to do that, but they will not be like one of those contenders if there's still questions at the quarterback position. Think of like teams like Penn State. Ole Miss, this might be a hot take. I think it's the SEC title. They need to start having some real expectations. Everyone, and I think Josh Pate had mentioned this, everyone wants to talk about and put their flag into the ground of, we really like Ole Miss. Ole Miss could be a sneaky good team, but no one's really picking them to win the SEC. And I think with the investments that they made, Lane Kiffin has to, not rid of that stereotype, because I hate using fan stereotypes for what they think of a head coach. But, think of like Jim Harbaugh breaking that barrier, breaking the mold of known as a guy that cannot win the big games. Lane Kiffin's kind of in that realm right now. And this is a program and a team that is primed to break through the ceiling and then some. And that should be success for them. You would be wasting a ton of continuity and talent if they were to do anything short of that. I understand if they made the playoff, it would be awesome. And I think, honestly, a successful season is them making it and winning a couple games. But I think they would feel way better. And maybe I'm contradicting myself on the baseline of like success. That result that I just mentioned, I think would be successful, but still, like, they should expect more from this program. I think South Carolina is pretty simple. Show some substance and not just a hype video package. And I don't mean that like in the disrespectful way. I just think for a program that has so many difficult games on their schedule coming up, you have Lenore Sellers, you have like some real concerns and questions in key areas, answer some of them, but show some fight and show some real substance as a program and where they're going versus the hype that we saw last year. I bought into it and it did not work out. So, and they're very much a window program too. So start building up to that window. Maybe it's because you have Lenore Sellers and you really believe in them, but you got to start building back up to that opportunity that they had last year. They didn't have the offensive line clearly. Build back up to having a window. And I think having that feeling of going into 2025, saying they are working their way there, would be a great season for them. For Tennessee, I think it's a college football playoff appearance. I wouldn't say appearance. I would say being in the conversation. If they were in that 14 range, I don't want to put so much pressure on Nico, but to be honest, they are speaking so highly of him, it's very difficult not to. And I think progress in the secondary would be huge. And I think beating in Alabama, so getting another signature win, showing that this offense has progression, would lead them into that conversation of a 12-team playoff. It would be great if they made it, but maybe next year is the prime year for them to take that next step. But honestly, Vols fans, it wouldn't shock me if their baseline of success is making the 12-team playoff at that at-large bid, and anything short of that would be a disappointment. Texas A&M, I think that with Mike Elko, there's this tendency with first-year head coaches to minimize expectations. I think it's 9-3. I think anything short of 9-3 with an 8-4 record would be a disappointment to most A&M fans, because Mike Elko is walking into a situation that has a ton of talent and is one of the better situations a coach has walked into. If you think about what their schedule looks like, they get guys like Missouri, LSU, Notre Dame, and Texas all at home. And an 8-4 record either symbolizes that you beat one of those four teams, but then lost to like an at Auburn and at Florida, or you beat all those other like middle of the pack SEC teams, but you lost every single four of the four major games and you didn't win one of them. I think a 9-3 record would symbolize that not only did you beat one of them, or maybe you beat two of them, but lost to an Auburn and a Florida, which would be huge. You'd be in that playoff discussion. But I think this is one of those teams that I feel more confident with a win total, get to that 9 wins. And I think this program would find that as a major success in the first year of Mike Elko, especially if that one win is against Texas. Speaking of Texas, I think it is a national championship berth. I wouldn't say a win, and maybe to some Texas fans, it's just winning a game in the college football playoff, but this is not a window team. This is a team that is primed. You didn't expect to get Quinn Ewers back. Everything is checked off the box. Make the national title and then see what happens. And I think anything short of that would be a concern for Texas. Obviously, you come into the following year with Arch Manning, so there'd still be hope. It's not like it's all over for Texas, but a national championship and prove that you belong in the SEC would be a major success for this program. And for Vanderbilt, just win a conference game. Keep it short and sweet. But that's it. That's every single SEC team. Let me know your thoughts. These are all the baseline levels of success that these programs need to meet to feel like they left this year feeling better than they did before. And these are kind of the metrics. Not really metrics, just because some of them are gut feelings. I don't need to ramble about it. Thank you so much for watching. And please let me know your thoughts. I love hearing y'all's feedback and have a fantastic day.